Please all rise and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Looks like your car.
Thank you all for attending this Village of Southampton Board of Trustees meeting. And we have, as usual, the employees of the month. And I think we have William Banks and Vincent Brumsley, and I think they're both here, are they?
Just Bill.
Just Bill?
Yes.
Where are you, Bill? It's great that you're here. Nancy and I would love to provide you guys with your documentation, and if those who haven't seen Vincent, there's a picture of Vincent right there. And we got Bill here. It's very important that when an employee comes, we congratulate you.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for everything.
Bill, pleasure. Thank you.
So we get to keep this. You get to see it.
That's fine.
Yes.
We get to keep this.
All right.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Read the letter of recommendation. What got in that?
Sorry.
There you go.
Even though we gave him the plaque and stuff ahead of time, I'm going to read the letter of recommendation to him. And this comes from Mr. Funch. And he says, I am recommending both William Banks and Vincent Brumsley as employees of the month for January 2019. I've worked with both of these gentlemen for close to 12 years. Not only are they dedicated employees, they handle themselves with the utmost of professionalism. In addition, they have assisted Gary Gillespie and myself to do our jobs by reaching out to various employees over the years, and we're very successful in migrating employment issues. They helped accomplish what we were not able to do on our own. I have also negotiated a union contract with Bill, who was very realistic and very professional during those negotiations. Both men are a huge asset to the village and most deserved of the Employee of the Month. And again, thank you, guys. And while I don't think we have it here on the agenda, we have a public comment. And
We have oath of office.
We're going to do the oath of office.
first.
we'll do the oath of office, okay.
Yeah.
So we have the oath of office of the 2019 Southampton Village Volunteer Ambulance Officers and the Southampton Fire Department. We'll start with the ambulance officers.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Chris Epley,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to uphold the Constitution of the United States,
to uphold the Constitution of the United States,
the state of New York,
the state of New York,
and to faithfully discharge the duties
and to faithfully discharge the duties
of Chief of the
Chief.
Southampton Fire Department.
of Chief of the Southampton Village Ambulance.
Sorry. Thank you.
It's Russ's first time. Relax. Okay? You're both the first time.
To the best of my ability,
Good
To
correction.
the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Stand there.
Now, Chris, you got to stand right here so we can get your photos.
Next time it'll be the head of the Navy.
The only one within...
You guys gotta come down. He's the only one. That's right. He's the only one. No. You should go.
Are we all supposed to come down or just?
Not all of you.
Just you?
Yeah, Kyle Jane couldn't make it.
Well, you can't be the only one.
Just getting in my truck. Just realized. Do that now. It's not you first.
Do this first. Raise your right hand and repeat after me.
You sure?
I am sure.
Okay.
I state your name.
I, Anthony Stevens,
Hereby solemnly swear
do hereby solemnly swear
to uphold the Constitution of the United States,
to uphold the Constitution of the United States,
the state of New York,
the state of New York,
and to faithfully discharge the duties
and to faithfully discharge the duties
of Chief
of Chief
Southampton Fire Department.
of Southampton Fire Department.
Best of my ability,
The best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Alfred?
Yes.
Okay. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Alfred Callahan,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to uphold the Constitution of the United States,
to uphold the Constitution of the United States,
the state of New York,
state of New York,
and to faithfully discharge the duties
and to faithfully discharge the duties
of Assistant Fire Chief
of First Assistant Fire Chief
in the Fire Department of Southampton Town,
in the Fire Department of Southampton.
Southampton Village. So help me God.
So help me God.
Right, we don't have the seconds? No. Okay, okay, everyone come on in. Just, yeah, we just stand right in, yeah.
We should all go there.
Give me that. Give me that. You understand? You understand? Give me that. You
Is everything okay?
Everyone raise their right hand. Repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear. To uphold the Constitution of the United States. State of New York. And faithfully discharge the duties. Name your position. Southampton Village Fire Department. That's my ability. So help me God.
Way to go, Alf.
Okay.
Up here, that's a good idea. Pyramid. I want to get on Tony's shoulders. Or you can stand. All right, so.
I'm getting up all
We're gonna try to get everyone in this area.
Guys, tighten up. You want two rows.
The red shirt, denoting the new red card sheet. It's very symbolic.
You got everyone? All in good?
Somebody's got the right foot. Or is looking the wrong way. Okay. Thank you.
It's gonna empty out on you a little bit.
Did you guys sign the book?
Yep. You guys sign the book?
Yeah, they signed, yep. Yep.
She's so proud of you.
That's what I have Megan for. She does a very good job. So does my 3-year-old.
Congratulations.
I have that. They're still watching.
They are, I'm sure.
They know exactly. The only problem is now I can't hide anything. I used to think I could.
You never could then.
No, but they let me think I got away with things at times. It made me feel good.
They always tell me.
Well, I found out later on they knew everything. And now as a parent, I start to understand.
How are things, James?
Good.
Yeah.
How's everything with you?
New gig.
So far, I like it. So, yeah.
Let me know after tonight. It's my first.
Oh, it's the first one? All right. Good luck.
I want to have him on Sunday. You know his job.
All right.
If you want to make it easy, the last place to sign is both.
Yeah, these come out a little.
Yeah.
They're beautiful.
Yeah, they're beautiful chairs. Yeah.
You missed it.
Before I went truck. Oh. Okay. Tim, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Before we move ahead, I just want to thank all the emergency services in the village of Southampton, both the ambulance corps and the fire department. You know, those guys, often I'll hear the alarm go in the middle of the night, and I go, oh, man, if I was on that, I'd have to climb out of bed, try to figure out where I was, and get off to the scene. And these guys do it on a regular basis. And the really incredible thing about all of them is the majority of them also contribute so much to the village of Southampton. They either do volunteer services beyond EMS or the fire department, or they work for the village of Southampton, and they truly are a pretty impressive group of guys and girls, and bless them all. Thank you.
Well said.
Moving ahead, we have public comment with the Honorable Mayor Epley.
Hi, Mark Epley, 158 Harvest Lane. So, Russell, I just want to congratulate you and wish you a lot of luck in the position, and tell you you've got big shoes to fill. I'm actually here just to talk about Steve. Yeah, part of the team that brought him in, and class act. One of the best things that I ever had the honor of being part of, and I wish you much luck, Godspeed. Incredible man. So the village will miss him, and unfortunately most of the people that live out here and come to the village of Southampton will never truly appreciate the impact that he's had in the village of Southampton, and we are all better for that. So thank you, Steve.
We are. Oh, come on. Board presentations. Mr. Rump.
Mayor, trustees, Tim Rumpf, Maris Design, we're landscape architects located at 38 Nugent Street, Southampton. We are the landscape architects for the property owner to the west of the helipad parking area, which is the graphic that's shown, that's on the table. Our client we've been discussing this with Mr. Gillespie and the mayor about adding some improvements to that parking lot for the village, and our client is willing to pay for those improvements. Part of the improvements include the establishment of the curb. Right now, there's curb stops out there that are in a little bit of disarray. So part of what the proposal is to add concrete curb in those areas. Okay. This would be the concrete curb installation here. This is the helipad. These are the stone walls that are there. So part of the site improvements would include the establishment of the concrete curb. The replicas of the walls that are across the street would be installed opposite that. The idea is to pave with the New York State DOT paving spec up the travel lane for both the ingress and egress of the parking area. Where this stops, we can be determined in the field with Mr. Gillespie at that point. There's also some slight berms here that I'm going to call it a dune for lack of a better word, and also the planting for that. Our client has also offered to bring an irrigation line across so that we can irrigate that and keep that alive. So those are the improvements that my client would like to give and donate to the village for the parking area.
Now, Tim, on the east side, was he going to do anything in there, or?
In here?
Yeah.
We just showed some lawn, or it could be plantings. We show some native plantings on that side, with the wall. I would, instead of lawn, I would probably say beach grass or something like that. Yeah. So it's easy. So there's no maintenance for the village, and we'll try to minimize that as much as we can.
Yeah.
The land to the east is Peconic Land Trust, that next parcel, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Are we allowed to, stupid question, pave it? I mean, I thought the idea was to keep away from him
Well, we're showing.
I know it's only partial of it, but I've been,
Yeah, we're keeping all of the stalls, the gravel, so from a drainage standpoint, I think there's minimal impact.
that's not my field of expertise, that's yours, and I know that's, I remember the original discussions about why they ended up being the crushed gravel was for that reason, so it had some drainage, so if it's actually allowed to put paving in there, then
Well, we had two issues with the gravel. One is that we were trying to make a permeable drainage surface in there.
Right.
And one of the difficulties with the hill pad right next door, you couldn't use small gravel. Or you'd have
Blown out.
buckshot blowing all around.
Right.
So we used the larger gravel, and it, quite frankly, hasn't compacted the way that I thought it was going to do.
Right.
And I thought it was going to, become part of the surface, and it never has. And one of the reasons of the concept of paving a strip down each side is that gravel is very obnoxious when cars are driving in and out. It's loud.
And there's also a spray of gravel that comes onto the meadow lane.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
So that's what we're proposing.
And
So is there a stencil crosswalk from the parking lot over to the heliport?
There is not at this point.
yeah, we can do that. It needs to be done no matter what.
Yeah, I was down there this afternoon just to refresh myself a little bit with it, and there is none.
And then at the heliport, though, there's an opening, so let's just say...
There are two, there's one
Yeah,
here
right there.
and then one here.
Yeah,
And
that's
they're
what we should-
gated at this point.
So Tim, 2080, I'm sorry.
So let's say someone's coming down and dropping somebody off, or they're meeting a helicopter there, and they come down and they go in, and they can pull in.
Yeah, they can pull in and
Right.
go across. And
Right.
in the same way, it'll function the same way that it does now. I think what the idea that we'd like, this will really neaten these two entrances and exits up, because of the curb stops are all, they get bumped into and they move, and it's, so this will really neaten this area up a lot.
Now, on that west side, it collects a fair amount of water even now. I guess if you put the paved area in there, that probably will run off to the sides, or?
That's the intent, and we can work with Gary and manipulate that grade a little bit to make that, drain and move into the shoulder more.
I think it's, I gotta say, I really thank the neighbor. I think he's stepped up to bat and it really helped make that a pretty attractive area with the curbing and
So 2080 Meadow Lane is looking to pay for this entire project, the paving too?
Yes.
And the wells, all these extra, are these?
Those are in there
They're all existing,
These are
is there any
all-
new added, or those are all existing?
Those are either proposed or
With the new
I'm not sure.
pavement, aren't we gonna need some more in there? Are there any
No,
proposed
this is the sanitary system that's proposed for the restrooms that are proposed here.
Yeah, that's for the future, but we're probably going to go to an IA system anyway, but that was just shown on the original plan.
So the runoff system then for the pavement would be in the
Is the gravel.
crushed.
is the gravel on the sides.
And the parking spots are the same as they always
Yes.
would have been, so there's nothing.
Not gaining or no loss or gain in parking
No
spots.
loss of gain to any of the space.
And the people who come off the beach, it's the same
You got the air up on the east
east
side
side and come
and everything
around.
else, and then leave and exit.
And when would he start this, do you?
We're ready to start this spring
Okay.
when the weather allows us.
Who does this need to go to? Who does this need to go to? Just us, or does this have to go to other respective boards?
I don't think it has to go to any other boards, but we probably need a resolution on it, don't we?
Well, the question here, Tim, is your client going to be undertaking the work itself or just paying for the cost?
Well, it would be, probably managed by our office, but he would be paying for it.
Through your contractors.
Right. And
So
we would-
then what you need to do, similar to what you did a few months ago with the Pond Lane thing, is
The
come
bond.
to a license agreement and have the appropriate insurance and a bond to assure the work is done in a proper manner.
Right. And we can put together those numbers and get that to you.
Good.
All right. Thank you.
I think it's great. I
great.
think, and I really,
Improvement.
Well, the family is ecstatic to be where they are. They love the village, and they're very nice people.
we
You're kind
certainly,
of crying, you wish you could clone and keep going somewhere else.
Do they have any problem with people on the beach?
They don't at this point, so, not that I've heard.
All these circled shrubs to the west, are those new or those existing?
Those are there.
Those are there.
Yeah.
There is stuff there already,
Yeah.
right? So that's all just,
And the windsock and all the other stuff.
Yep.
yeah, that would all remain. It's really just the entrance and then running the paving too.
yeah, it's easy, huh? Well, that's very generous.
I think it's extremely generous and please forward our sincere thank you.
We will. Thank you.
Thank you.
Means all environmental stuff to the
Yeah. That's a great,
Thanks, Tim.
thank you, Tim.
Yep.
And we have a couple of public hearings. So I'll make a motion to open the public hearing in the proposed local law, construction of accessory buildings.
Second.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good.
Council, maybe you could direct us a bit on the purpose and
So this is a proposed amendment to the zoning code that, as we continue to monitor what happens at the Zoning Board of Appeals, and if there is a constant, or as the zoning board would say, a certain relief being granted, very often pursuant to the code, it might identify an issue that we need to look at the code. And one of these is our definition of front yard. We have the front yard, and then we have the required setback for the front yard. And they're sort of two different things, but they apply to the same restrictions. So we don't allow accessory structures in a front yard, and that's the space between the dwelling and the street, no matter what the setback. However, when you get to a waterfront property, most waterfront properties, two things. From the private side of it, most people want to have their accessory structures, their dwelling closer to the water with the water view and the like, and usually the accessory structure is to the rear. From an environmental standpoint, we promote that. We don't want, particularly on the oceanfront waterfront or others, we don't want to put pools and tennis courts and other buildings that are going to create surface areas that are going to be detrimental to the environment. And the zoning board has recognized that. So constantly, when, particularly along Dune Road or the ocean or many other water bodies, a variance is needed because someone is looking to put their accessory structure, whether it be a pool, tennis court, or a garage or whatnot, between the space, the dwelling, and the street. They ordinarily comply with the required front yard setback and the accessory yard structure setback from the street, but still they need the variance. The zoning board is constantly giving those because it promotes, it's a good policy, both environmentally and otherwise. So this proposed law is actually going to recognize what the zoning board is doing in that and make an exception to that front yard in the case of waterfront lots, provided, and allow the accessory structure there, provided you meet the accessory structure setback. If they don't meet the setback, they still will need a variance. The other place that this has come up is corner lots. And as you know, a corner lot has two front yards, or if it has We've had on occasion before the zoning board 2 or 3 properties where they actually have 3 front yards. So the practical difficulty, if you understand what the zoning board has to go through, is somebody with 3 front yards, they have no place to put what is a customary accessory structure, whether it be a garage, a swimming pool, or whatnot. And they're often coming again in front of the zoning board, and the zoning board recognizes the practical difficulty and often given the relief. So this is the other circumstance where if it would allow an accessory structure and a corner lot only in one of the front yards, but again, provided they meet the setback. So you're still, and the accessory structure setback is 10 feet greater than the dwelling. Is supposed to be. So, you know, and it's only that technical front yard issue that we're trying to grant relief. So that's what the proposal is in front of us. You know, we can hear comments, but I guess the question for the clerk was whether or not we received any reports from our planning commission or the Suffolk County Planning Commission yet. I don't believe we have.
The Suffolk County said it was a matter for local determination.
Okay. So I don't know, but it would be at your pleasure of what you want to do, if you want to continue the hearing or close the hearing. We do have jurisdiction in light of the Suffolk County Planning Commission report to close the hearing if you want.
Well, I think...
Assuming any comments from the public.
I think you had a couple of comments on the corner lots you were concerned with.
And I've since then met with the building department and spoken with a number of residents, and I think to Wayne's point, it's a technical issue, as well as the ZBA has always been giving that relief. So I don't know any other exception. I think the issue was if there's 3 front lots, 3 corner lots versus 2.
Still, they're only allowed to put the accessory structure in
On
one of the front yards,
exactly.
not all of them.
Right. But it obviously would like to keep it open so the public could
Weigh in.
Yeah.
Any other comments from the
No, I think it's a good idea.
trustees? Any comments from the public?
Clarifies a lot for the board, but
Yeah, I
Thank
think...
you, though.
What's that?
Thank you.
I think that the main concept behind this is to streamline the constant flow of these questions that go to the ZBA. And this is a way to eliminate them having to hear every corner lot in the oceanfront property that is being developed. So I think it makes good sense. But I also think since this is the first hearing, we'll hold it open until the next meeting, which is?
Actually, Mr. Mayor, if you recall, you scheduled 2 hearings for the 22nd, which is your next meeting, having
Right.
to do with landscape registration and nuisances, leaf blowers, and the like. And my suggestion is maybe you put it off
For
to
the
your next
following-
meeting, and assuming that meeting also is going to be continued, you sort of stagger them so you're not...
Good point. So the date of the following meeting would be? Okay.
And then that'll give the planning commission a chance to weigh in as well.
Yep. So I'll make a motion to adjourn it to the February 14th meeting, the proposed local law construction of accessory buildings.
Here a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And next one is in regards to wireless facilities. So I'll make a motion to open the proposed local law on wireless facilities.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Should I give you a little background?
Absolutely, if you may.
please do, Counselor.
So a few years ago, the village board amended the zoning code to provide some review requirements for wireless facilities. Prior to that date, the village had only the public utilities section of the code that applied. When you adopted that, you defined wireless facilities, and it's pretty broad. It's everything and anything that you can consider as a wireless facility, and automatically required that all wireless facilities, no matter where they're located, including municipal properties, would require special exception from the Zoning Board of Appeals. And the progression of that is, in addition, being that it's not a single-family dwelling or agricultural use, site plan review would be required, as well as architectural review, as well as a building permit. It has come to the village board's attention, as you have considered various facilities, that particularly on municipal properties, that process could be somewhat burdensome to the municipality. We debate this issue all the time when the municipality is trying to do work on its own property and whether or not we need review. You just discussed it when you're talking about the parking lot and the landscaping. So what is in front of you is a proposal. The regulations currently have special exception standards that the zoning board has to apply. And the section of the code indicates that that there are certain exemptions to that special exception review. And currently, things like an amateur radio station or pre-existing tower or antenna, or eligible facilities as defined by state or federal law, or the routine maintenance, are current exemptions. But what we've seen is that in addition to that, there's been an evolution of wireless facilities, and including what is now defined under the federal law more recently, minor facilities. And without going into a whole review and redoing the entire code, where other municipalities or some model laws where they create tiered systems of review, and so on and so forth. The proposal in front of you is to identify three other elements that could be considered as exemptions from special exception review, plus other review only on municipal properties. And those exceptions would be where on a municipal property there's a current architectural feature on a building or a structure that where they're considered stealth, that you could enclose or put those in the structure itself. And that is a typical approach that is modeled and promoted in all wireless facility codes. The other circumstance would be if it's on a municipal building or structure and it's no greater than 10 feet higher than the existing structure and it's stepped back and not visible from the street. That would be another example. And the third example, which we're attempting to discuss, is within public right-of-way, the existing poles or utility structures and the like, with certain standards related to size and spacing. And if they met that criteria, they would be exempt from the special exception review, also the architectural review, site plan review. Everything would still require a building permit, but most importantly, it's on a municipal property, it requires your review and permission in the first instance. It also gives you the ability, if you so choose, to get the advice and recommendations of the planning board or the zoning board or the architectural review board's review at any time. But it's not mandated up front, as it is currently. So currently, even, and that's been something that this board has looked at, and it's a process. And in a way, our current law, if you look at the criteria that's there, the first thing you have is a priority, a location priority that the zoning board is supposed to consider. And they're supposed to give priority to these facilities that are on municipal property as the first and highest priority. But yet we're making anybody who comes to us, or if we wanted to do something, we'd have to go through 5 boards to get the approval, which is somewhat burdensome on us have to do. That's not to say the review wouldn't be done. You would have your own consultant reviewing, as we do with the boards, undertaking the seeker review, whatever you need to do, whether it be a lease or otherwise. So that's what's in front of us. I know it's a little different attempt. It takes a little understanding of what our existing code actually requires right now. But the attempt is really only to provide exemptions where the municipality is undertaking this, to exempt us from some of our own review processes with our other boards where we could undertake the same review at this level. So.
The only, I would ask, though, what is the ramifications on private properties?
There's none. Right now, we didn't create any further exemptions for private properties. If you want to do something on a private property, requires to go to the zoning board for a special exception, have site plan and ARB review and the like. So if private landowner wants to do the application, they got to go through that process.
Okay.
That's not changing. I mean, certainly we can consider if you wanted to create a lesser standard. Many other municipalities create a different tiered system, and that's another whole animal here. We were just trying to limit the review for the municipality, being that our code already promotes co-location on municipal properties. So, but there are regulations, including the federal regulations, are trying to make it easier to do minor facilities, whether they be on private properties or not. We didn't address that issue, and we could go back and look at that. That would take a larger amendment to the code.
So this would streamline the process on how municipal properties are handled.
Correct.
By the municipality. And it would give this board, I guess, both the first and final word on how to proceed with these applications.
Yeah, and essentially,
for municipal property.
Yeah, if the municipality, I'm assuming we're not in the business of doing wireless facilities, and it's not a stranger. We've been approached, and the village has been approached through time with many carriers. The most recent was the tower behind the police station, which we all know, and that's sort of what opened our eyes to the current process. If we wanted to even go through that process, we would have gone through the entire lease and seeker process with the village board, again with the zoning board, ARB, planning board, and then the building permit. And so that was where we considered that. Now, these exemptions don't provide an exemption for a tower like that. That tower would still have to go through that review if this board wanted to consider that. But in light of the evolution, what we've seen, I believe the board is seeing, that the evolution of wireless facilities is that they're becoming smaller, and that the need for the larger towers is not as great. And the facilities are getting smaller. They can be located, co-located on smaller structures in smaller areas, and can be more easily screened from an aesthetic standpoint.
So just playing this out, let's say cell phone provider wants to upgrade to 5G and they want to add a box onto a pole on Hill Street. So they would approach the building department, request a permit. That would come to the board.
Well, before they can do that, they need permission from the village to go in the right-of-way.
Okay. And
so that's why it comes to the board, this board in the first place.
Okay, so
they also need permission, whoever the owner of the pole is.
Pole is, yeah.
Okay, so the board is for the right-of-way permission, and then the building department is for the permit.
For the permit.
Permit, okay.
The first thing that would have to happen is the agreement with the village board to go in the public right-of-way, and there's certain information that has to be provided, and so you would deal with it in the first instance, and then if it met all the standards and you entered into an agreement, they would be able to then go to the building department to get the permits if it met all those standards.
And the
utility company gives them permission.
Exactly. If they're on that pole, yeah, or whatever.
And the way our code reads right now, they can only have one device per pole, and it has to be X number of feet between.
Well, that's what the proposal,
Right.
some of those standards, and we can go and revisit those if needed, but it was a starting point for discussion here. I know this is somewhat complicated and new, so we need to look at all that and get, I'm assuming we'd love to get input, and I'm sure Steve has a lot to say.
But it prevents the barnacle, multiple devices on one pole already, and the spacing of those devices.
That's what this
Yes.
is promoting.
But
Now, the absent of that, if you did not put this in place, then that facility would have to come still to this board and then go through the zoning board, ARB, planning board, and the like.
But there's a shot clock provision of 60 days, and if they don't, right, doesn't that affect it? And if they don't go through, if that's not met, that time frame, then we're stuck, right? Whatever they're proposing, they get?
Not necessarily. We have to, that's what has to be weighed and balanced. So the shot clock changes for the federal law only apply to new regulations that were put in place. We're restricted on putting new regulations that would change those requirements, but we already have existing requirements in place, special exception. We're actually lessening the burden on the applicant by doing what we're doing and enabling the ability us to abide by more of the shot clock provisions for those minor facilities.
What's the shot clock thing?
The shot clock, it's the term used from the federal regulations, the basketball analogy.
Yeah, well, that, I mean,
So much
you're saying
time
there's
for the
some existing
review.
and some new stuff, so what's the difference between what's existing and this new stuff?
I'm not entirely up to speed on all the changes. There's different elements, different shot clocks for different types of review, whether it's a full antenna or tower versus the minor facilities. But the minor facilities, the federal government is trying to promote that the minor facilities are going to go through less municipal review. And so in some cases, they reduced it to 60 days.
So we'd be moving along, obviously, because that usurps local, so the federal
So in a way, if
have shortened that, they're trying to streamline it, so we'll go along with what the Fed is doing.
Right, and many of these standards that I've put in here sort of come from the definitions that come from the federal regulations, intended to meet the definition of minor facilities, so that in a way, we're eliminating the review from all the other boards, which would enable us to abide by the shot clock if indeed they are minor facilities that meet both the state, our definition as well as the federal definition. So
And this is only wireless or cellular or
they're all the
phone
same.
communication? Does it apply to any type of other communication or
All wireless.
video or any other devices that can,
All wireless.
all wireless?
So I think we are protected because if they come to the board first, there's the 3 cubic feet threshold for the wireless facility, which we understand, and then there's the 28 cubic feet in volume attachment to that wireless facility, and if we view that as being potentially problematic, we can shoot it for site review over to the planning board and make sure we fit within the 60 days. Yeah.
Right.
But the point is, these are the smaller devices on municipal property, and if we have them run through the 5 boards, we're at risk to go over the 60 days. And
That's one of the elements in
Right.
changing the code,
Yeah.
is trying to make sure we're consistent with the federal law.
And then the
So-
administrative burden for the municipality for something that's relatively benign, unless it's not. Okay. Thank you for explaining that.
Can I just ask you a question on this?
Gary,
Gary, you
Come up
have
to the
to.
podium, sir. You know the rules.
Knowing that Optum, Maltese has already rolled out their little wireless stuff around the village, 3G, 4G around, and they don't even come to me for approval on that. I don't know if they've ever done that before the board. And we're here talking of AT&T and Verizon now in the next 5 years of rolling these things out on Long Island, where they would just go up on the utility poles, they would cover about 120-foot radius, and they would dot them through the town and villages. So I don't know if they're aware at this point that they would have to come before the village board. Would we send a notice out to all the utilities saying that?
Well, that's my concern, is that a lot of these devices are becoming smaller and smaller, and if they have the permission of the pole owner, they install them without municipality knowing anything.
Correct.
Currently, under the code, they require special exception approval.
Does our franchise agreement, though, cover,
We have to look at that.
Wait, is that something we just signed?
it may already be covered with Optimum with regards to our franchise agreement, allowing them to put the lines across our right-of-way. It may already be in
So if
there.
that franchise agreement already exists, does that make what we're doing here moot?
No, just a clarification that if you are going to change this and something new is going to roll out where every other pole or every third pole, we're going to start seeing a little 5G box on, that whatever you determine, we need to get out to those carriers so they know they have to come before us. Because typically right now, unless they're going to be digging in the right-of-way, they don't apply to me for a permit.
But there's so many wires on those things, I doubt they could get a 5G box on them.
Just food for thought.
No, thank you. Yes.
So can we check the most recent contract and see if they do have the
Absolutely.
right to install those?
That's the point of this, is to get this out here so that we can get all these comments, so we can make sure we cover all our bases.
Any other comments from the trustees? Any comments from the public? I think this is going to become a really big growing issue very quickly, and while this is a start of addressing some of the issues, I think that it's going to be bigger. Because there's, I think 2019 is the beginning of a spree of technology that is going to be unbelievable. So we should, I guess, go to the February 14th again. So I guess I need to close the meeting first and then
Adjourn.
adjourn it. So adjourn the proposed local law wireless facilities.
Motion?
Make the motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
And I'll make a motion to schedule the public hearing for the February 14th,
Well, it's adjourned to February.
adjourn to February 14th on the wireless facilities. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good. No communications to the board. We have a number of suggested resolutions.
Be resolved that the reading of the minutes for the public session for the December 13th, 2018 be dispensed with, and that those minutes be accepted as filed with the village administrator, and that the actions taken at that meeting be and hereby are ratified and approved. Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain, I wasn't here.
Resolved that the claims for the warrants dated January 10th, 2019, warrant number 11 totaling $674,253.41 for the general fund, warrant number 9 capital reserve fund equaling $130,581.38, and the village payrolls for the period December 20, 2018 to January 3rd, 2019 be audited and approved.
Make the motion.
Second.
Second?
Discussion, items over $1,000. Atlantic Coast Embroidery, $8,016.75. That's for ambulance uniforms. We have Cast Productions, $2,015. That's the videographer. Chaliff and Rogers for $4,468.72. That's the consultant for the Nugent Carriage House. Coastal Fire Systems, Inc. for $1,343.25. That's repairs to the self-contained breathing apparatus equipment in the firehouse. The Commissioner of Tax and Finance for $10,443.12. That's the fourth quarter MTA tax. Corwith's Auto Body for $2,400. That's towing expenses for the police department. We We have First Presbyterian Church, $3,000. That's the parking lease for January.
We skipped over a bunch, we skipped a bunch of them. Under Corwus Auto Body, back to the Cs. Well, CSEA employment benefits.
Yes, thank you.
They just stick together. We had Cook Marin, then we had Corwus Auto Body, and then the
Yes.
CSEA.
Yeah. Look at it. Cook Marin and Associates for $5,202. That's an insurance premium. And then the CSEA employee benefit, that's the January, for $30,544.30. That's the January premium for dental and vision.
Corwus Auto Body for $2,400, do you have that?
I did.
Oh, you did that?
Yeah, that was
Okay.
for,
Okay.
that was also for towing,
Okay.
$2,400. Okay. Got it. Okay. Syncon equipment is $1,620.35. East End Underground Utilities, $1,300. We have Eberhart Nurseries for $7,420. That's for the shade trees. We have First Presbyterian.
No, we have Emmanuel Escobar.
I don't necessarily know, do we read the ones that are for employee reimbursements? For health reimbursements? Yeah, health.
Health insurance, $1,000.
Actually, that probably,
Yeah, that's a volunteer. What we don't read are the Medicare reimbursements, which comes out quarterly.
Okay.
But that is for volunteer medical reimbursement.
Right, okay, volunteer. My apologies, I didn't think that we read those.
Do you want my copy that's highlighted?
I have it.
You've got it?
I have it, thank you. Flanders Heating and Air Conditioning, which is $4,215.50, is ductwork that was done at the Cultural Center. I have Fleet Pride, Inc., which is work that was done on the highway, the majority of the work was done on the highway dump truck.
and that $1,265.18.
We have Peter Gale, which is also a health insurance reimbursement. We have Galls for $1,186.66. That's for police department uniforms. Granger for $1,397.41. That's for various departments, supplies and materials. We have Heaterman Heating and Air Conditioning for $1,188.75. That's for the Village Hall HVAC repairs. We have Herrick Hardware for $1,341.99. That's for various departments, materials, and supplies. We have High Tech Fire and Safety, which is for $1,247.40. That's for ambulance equipment. We have Integrated Wireless Technologies for $2,104. That's also for ambulance equipment. We have Jesco for $1,473.29. That's for repairs to a John Deere tractor. We have Johnson's Electrical Construction Corp. for $3,482.77. That's contractual traffic signals controls. Alan McFarland for $1,000. That, again, is health insurance, health reimbursements. James McWilliams for $1,000. That's for health insurance, health reimbursement.
We missed Liberty Iron, I think.
We missed one page before it, Liberty Iron Works.
Liberty Iron Works for $4,250.80. That's for signage at the police department. We have James McWilliams for $1,000. That's for medical reimbursement. We have Messiano Consulting for $2,300. That's the monthly grant writing expenses. I have Morgan Auto Supply for $2,583.81. That's for various vehicle fleet parts. We have National Grid for $9,361.22. That's for utilities. We have Nelson, Pope, and Voorhees for $23,780. That's monthly consulting fees. We have Norsec and Son for $4,842. That's carting expenses for the month of December. We have Nymer for $2,617.72. That's a claims reimbursement. We have the New York State Employees Health Insurance Plan for $342,857.84. That's our monthly health insurance premium. We have Optimum for $2,748.08. That's our internet and cable for the month of December. Otis Ford for $2,033.63. Various vehicle repairs. Pitney Bowes Global Financial for $1,206.99. That's for office equipment and leases. We have Power Equipment Plus for $1,042.75. I do not have the details on that. I will have to get that to the board. That is for various equipment, trimmers, chainsaws, and so forth. Professional estate care is for some underground work and removal of a tree on Hill Street. Pursuit Auto Emergency Division for $3,803.44. That's fire department emergency equipment.
Yeah, PSEG Long Island Collection Services.
Yes,
Right above.
$20,794.57. That is for December's utilities. We have Pursuit Auto Emergency Division, which we talked about. Rapid Recovery Towing Services for $1,455. That's emergency towing for the police department. We have Riverhead Radiator. I'm sorry, we have, yes, Riverhead Radiator for $3,500. That's a radiator on a dump truck. Shoreline Towing for $2,450. That's Police Department Emergency Towing. Southampton Christmas Lights. That's repair for tree lighting on lights on Hill Street. We have the Southampton Social Club for $6,000. That's a village annual event. Southampton Tires, $1,784. That's for various vehicle tires. We have Sprague Operating LLC for $4,506. That's for fuel. And then Student Roth Consulting for, I see,
No, we
yeah, I got
have
it.
Stella Lamont
Yep,
Architects.
got it, that's here. Steve, you know still what, for $6,000?
Which one's that?
$16,875, Stella Lamont Architects? That's a reimbursement, that's a building department reimbursement.
Yeah, that's the refund of the building inspector fee that we approved at the last meeting, December 13th.
Yes. Student Roth Consulting for $1,237.50. That's our consultant. We have Anthony Tohill for November and December billing for outside counsel. We have Vincent Toomey, Esquire, for $13,459.95, and that is for outside legal labor counsel. We have the town of Southampton for $14,420. And Steve, I think that's for carding, correct, for dumping for the LEAVE program. We have Trias for $3,586.08. That's for various vehicle repairs. We have Vehicle Tracking Solutions for $1,223.49. That's for our GPS system. We have Verizon Wireless for $1,648.73. That's our cell bill. We have Viso Life for $2,134.95. That's a premium for January. And then we have W&G Service for $1,024.20. I am not certain.
HVAC repair, usually.
That's right, yes. Firehouse HVAC, correct. WB Mason for $5,429.11. That's for paper and office supplies. I think that may be it. No. We have I think that's what we have on the...
And we have winter equipment,
Under equipment?
page 22.
What was that, Nancy, Whitner?
It's Winter Equipment Company.
It's usually fire department.
Yes. Then the $1,000 for Matthew.
Oh, it's snow blades? Okay.
Hence winter equipment?
Wise.
Matthew Worrell is, again, health insurance, health reimbursement. Kenneth Zay for $1,187 is just reimbursement for purchases that were made for the, small purchases that were made for Central Garage.
Two quick questions, and I don't know if you know the answer to this, but didn't we just get the breathing apparatus for the fire department? Didn't we just
This is for the piece of equipment that we use to fill the self-contained breathing apparatus, the actual equipment that fills the tanks.
tanks? But on the first page, we had repairs to breathing apparatus equipment, and we had I thought we just purchased those.
We did.
So I'm wondering what the repair is on something that's brand new.
No, the repair to it was to the compressor itself that fills the tank.
Right, but I think,
So I think we just purchased a number of new tanks and masks.
Right.
This is the piece of equipment that refills the tanks. after
So
they
it's not a
use it.
repair.
It's a repair to the machine that fills
The
the tanks.
compressed, okay,
well,
but that
Rich,
machine
maybe you
is,
could find out for us, because that was a new machine. You're 100% right.
What page is it?
yeah, thanks. First page, this
Okay.
item, and then the only other question was, we had signage for the police department. And we have our esteemed police chief here who's shaking his head.
You know what that was?
No, I don't think it's...
There's a Maltese cross, we should.
No, I think
That would be the fire.
it's for the FD, it's not for the PD. What'd you
Okay.
say? You said PD?
Yes, okay. That was for the fire department.
It's for the fire department, got it.
Okay,
Okay, under the capital disbursements, we have Alliance Systems Integrations for $94,431.38. That is for our cameras and license plate readers, as well as access upgrade for our control systems at PD, the Cultural Center, and Vets Hall. With M-Tech Consulting Engineers, those are engineers for the ambulance project for $2,400. Jeffrey T. Butler, $14,500. That's the architect for the ambulance project. We have SCC Construction Management for $18,500. They're the construction management company overseeing the ambulance project. All in favor?
Aye.
Not bad. Not bad for a shout-out, Russ.
Next resolution is resolved that the sale of tax liens on all unpaid real property taxes for the fiscal year 2018-2019 be held at 1 p.m. on Tuesday, March 12, 2019, in the Boardroom, Municipal Building, 23 Main Street, Southampton, New York, and that the notice to this effect be published in the official paper, the Southampton Press. Second.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the attached schedule of budget transfers to eliminate line item overages for the period ending January 10th, 2019.
I make a motion.
Second?
Second?
The following budget transfers are going to be made. To Clerk Personal Services, $21,500 to the Mayor Assistant, account number 1210.13, $24,700. From Safety Inspector Personal Services, A3620.1, $37,300. And from Contingent Account, A1990.4, $8,900. Next one is from Clerk Equipment, A1410.2 for $2,000, and to Clerk Contractual Expenses, A1410.4. Next one is to Radio Operators Holiday Vacation and Meetings, A3130.14 for $3,000. From Radio Operations Personal Services, A3130.1, $3,000. The next one is to refund building inspection fees for $16,875 from contingent A1990.4. And the last one is to street lighting contractual for $1,000, to street lighting supplies for $1,000, and from street lighting electricity for $2,000. All in favor?
Aye.
The next resolution, I'm going to allow the village attorney to discuss. This is the CPF water quality resolution.
So the village board, about 6 months ago, with the superintendent of public works, engaged in the design and plans of drainage structures along Meeting House Lane and Job's Lane. and those structures would be upgrading the drainage system so it would minimize outflow into Agawam Lake. We became aware that the town's CPF program now allows 20% of the CPF funding to be awarded to water protection projects. And the village made application in, I believe it was May or July, for a portion of the funding of that project in the amount of $292,040. The town board and their committee, CPF committee, reviewed our proposal and recently adopted a resolution awarding the village the $292,040 that we requested. So contracts have been forwarded to us. It would require the village to hire our consultants, contractors, or village forces to undertake that work. Gary's here. He can explain the steps he's taking to get those contractors and proposals to you. There is a matching portion, which he can explain as well. But the resolution before you would authorize the village to accept the award from the town and authorize the mayor to sign the contracts so that we can be assured of the funding from the CPF program. So maybe Gary can highlight parts of the project and the next steps.
All right, so this is Phase 7, believe it or not, our 7th project to take pressure off of Lake Agawam. So these drainage structures on Job's and Meeting House, some of the bids that have come in are actually coming in a little bit low, so the $292,000 we're getting, we're actually going to be very close to that mark. What we've agreed to with the town, if you sign that agreement, is we'll be using one of two contracted vendors. One would be on our paving contract, so that would be Rosemar. We're getting quotes from them right now. We've just recently got markouts. And then we can also use a town contract and piggyback off and use their vendor as well. Whichever one of these two would come in lower is where I would go for, but because they're both a contract, both contracts we can use individually, we only need one price. But we figure we get two anyway, just to shop it around. This will just take additional pressure off Lake Agawam. We will store water on Job's Lane. We will store water on Meeting House, and then the continued overflow would then still go through a pipe, go down to O'Connell parking lot, and be caught there, or then go on further into the lake again. All right. We've also, I think part of our match, we have used our current work in O'Connell Drive parking lot, the money we've expended there. And we're very excited about this project, and we're hoping to do this on a yearly basis if the town will allow us to.
Gary, maybe you could tell about how we've tried to capture most of that water that's coming down Job's Lane. Not only this project is going to help us because it's sort of at the headwaters of where the collection is, but also the projects that you undertook diligently, installing additional rings in the parking lot just this past, I guess, fall, was it?
Yeah.
You know, and down by Lake Agawam. And, you know, those are certainly significant efforts in controlling that groundwater and discharge.
Yeah, we actually started a lot further away. We started up on Hill Street with the project about 10 years ago. Then we moved into the Bowden Square area where we did like a Phase 1 and a Phase 2. We also put pools in along Windmill Lane in front of what will now be the dog park and the ambulance. We've installed onto Jagger Lane to pick up water there. And we then moved on to O'Connell Drive parking lot, which we've just completed, as you said. We've taken the pipe that used to go directly into Agawam, and we put a series of 14 pools in there to try to pick up some of that water. Just backing up for there, we'd done a project over on Culver and Pond Lane where we've put drainage in to pick up that water that goes into the lake. And now this would be the next phase to take more pressure off that pipe. We're going to be putting in, I believe it's a total of 20 structures, about 13 leaching basins, and, like 10 by 8s. We hope to capture a lot more of that. And hopefully, again, with the CPF, if they would allow it, we would take the existing meeting house in Job's Lane, and we would try to add more, and then we'll move on to other blocks and do the same. Old Town, through public and private, we've actually dried up the source that fills that lake. And I was saying earlier, we had to empty it this year because of all the rains, but it's the first time we emptied Old Town in 8 years, and I would love to say that about Agawam some year.
No, we certainly appreciate all your efforts, and over the years, you've done an incredible job on capturing that runoff, which is a major significant contributor to some of the issues that we have in Agawam. Not the sole contributor, but it certainly is a major contributor.
Every little bit helps. We just keep trying.
It does.
Gary, if you were to say, okay, the perfect world is I get 100% interception of the runoff, where do you think we are just against that?
As far as Agawam, it's a sliding scale because you're talking, how many inches of rain and how quick are those inches of rain coming. I would say that we're emptying Lake Agawam about half as much as we used to when we started. But really, how much rain you get in a season, there's so many varieties. I think if we do half of what we've done already, we may go summers without having to open the lake to the pipe, open the pipe to the ocean at all. So we still have a way to go. We might be 3 or 4 more projects away, but no monsoons. I think we can get there.
Yeah.
Great.
Really exciting. Good stuff.
We have a motion?
Absolutely. I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. So we set council on that?
Yes,
Perfect.
you're on to discussion items.
We got discussion items here. We got
Okay, so the 2019-2020 budget process is going to be getting underway at the January 3rd supervisors meeting. We discussed the process and some preliminary goals. I'm in the process of preparing worksheets for supervisors to fill out and detail their requests. Those are due back by mid-February. In February, the board will set the budget schedule and public hearings for the tentative budget. March will complete the draft budget. April will hold budget hearings. We'll adopt prior to April 30th, obviously. So far, we've been analyzing how we're doing budget year-to-date. I must say that all departments, I've only been here a short period of time, and I'm very impressed in how prudent all of the department heads are and supervisors in managing their budgets. We are cautiously optimistic about being in a good place for the 2019-2020 budget.
That's great to hear.
The second topic is Cooper's Beach. We're going to have an advertisement in the local Southampton Press on the 24th and 31st of January. March, we hope to accept bids and award. April, for the concession. In April, we'll begin recruiting and hiring process for the beach, and in May, we'll have a resolution to hire. Third topic is department head reports. At the first meeting in February, it is generally accustomed that the trustees report on the 2018 accomplishments and the 2019 goals for the various department assignments that they have. I offer assistance in coordinating meetings and/or if you need any analytics that might help, please let me know. And then the next topic is the refunding of the 2010 firehouse bonds. Included in your package is a brief summary. I think the important aspect of it is that both our financial advisor our current treasurer believe that it's a good time to refinance. The bonds that we have are fully callable now, and we will see a significant savings of conservatively $130,000, $140,000 over the life of the bonds. If anyone has any questions, there is
This is good.
It's very good.
So the bonds for the Hampton Road Firehouse.
Yes. So I hereby offer a resolution authorizing the refunding of certain outstanding bonds for the Hampton Road Firehouse, stating the plan of refunding, appropriating an amount not to exceed $3,900,000 for such purchase, authorizing the issuance of refunding bonds in the principal amount of not to exceed $3,900 to finance said appropriation. Do I have a motion?
Make that motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Roll call vote. Trustee Yashnemski.
Aye.
Trustee Allen.
Aye.
Trustee McGann.
Aye.
Trustee Hatcher.
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye,
Vote is 5-0.
thank you.
And the last item is an item that Trustee McGann you wanted to speak about, which is...
Oh, yes, I did.
Yes.
I got a phone call from a resident who is in the Irving condos, and his point was really well taken in the sense that there's on-street parking there. There's always been on-street parking outside those condos. I remember when it was the Irving Hotel, and there was always on-street parking. But they're having some difficulty now because there's no time limit on them. So you have some people from some people who work at the Southampton Club who park there rather than parking in their parking lot. You have people who park there during the summertime, walk down Culver Hill, stand by Aglom, and get on our lovely little vehicle that runs them up to Cooper's Beach, and then they don't have to pay for a day pass. And they're parking there all day. Then we have Uber drivers who are sitting there at night waiting to be called when people are getting out of bars and restaurants and playing loud music and sitting there. I think all of this is not good, and I think that we need to think about putting a time limit on the parking there, whether it should be just like the rest of the village, 2-hour parking, and then no parking in the evening. I told him that I think when the Irving condos were put in there, that we considered that additional parking for their guests, and but actually it's regular village parking. But I think we have to put a time limit on it.
Yeah, the time limit would be better than eliminating parking, because the Southampton Club does use that if they give a dinner or a party or something.
Oh, they have their own lot too, but they...
Well, most of the other lot is assigned parking.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not as much parking back there as you think.
Well, I think if we did like 2-hour parking during the day, and then maybe at night, like no parking after a certain hour, overnight parking, because they're getting people who are sitting there like 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Who could just do 2-hour parking
Yeah.
All day long?
all night long.
Yeah, but then we have to have somebody over there policing that all the time.
Like they're saying, if the Southampton
No
Club has
parking, you
a
have to
gathering,
police too.
they're going to all be parking there and get screwed up.
Who are the main...
Anything after 12 o'clock or something like that.
Yeah.
And people go to the movies.
I mean, yeah, I agree with Bill. I mean, so the main people who have an issue with the condo or residents?
They're concerned, and I would be concerned if I was living there and I heard someone sitting outside playing music and cars out there. I'd be concerned too, at night.
Parking's tough in the village in our business district, so I don't, there are many, parking is used for many different functions there, movie theater and so forth, and the club, so,
But there's no limitation on that parking. There should be some limitation.
If you had 2-hour parking, it would stop somebody from going to the beach, or at least they couldn't be there for more than,
Yeah, but 2 hours probably is not enough for the movie theater. Right?
Correct. And if you want to do movie and a dinner, I mean, what do we have along?
daytime movie theater is as busy as the evening, but it
That's
stops
true.
at 6 o'clock at least.
Yeah.
And it's not a problem, but I
Right.
don't know what to tell you.
So it could be 2-hour parking during the day, and then we could, well, put time limits up until like 5 or 6 o'clock. And then if you wanted, we could do no parking from whatever hour in the evening to the morning. That would eliminate their fears of the Uber drivers sitting over there.
And then hope that
Well,
somebody...
we also want people to use Uber, so I mean, I have a little, I mean, it's walking in a circle here, because I understand them being there at night, but it's also a service that I think the chief of police would agree with. We want to encourage people to use, so if they have to go somewhere, I mean, I don't know, I hate prohibiting something that serves many purposes, and I know some people have an issue. One of the things you pointed out was I think people have an issue of using it and then go using the free ride to go to the beach. I personally have a problem with that. That's what people do. They're using our beach. So what? That's why we have a free ride program, and they have to park somewhere. So it's like we keep putting parking prohibitions and we keep moving these people around. And we're talking about normal pedestrians who
Do you
are...
really honestly think that they can't find a parking spot in one of the village parking lots at night?
Well, I'm talking about the day traffic for the beach stuff. That was one of the concerns brought
Okay,
up.
but I'm talking about the Uber drivers could find a parking spot in one of our village parking lots at
I'm
night.
not saying they couldn't, no.
Yeah, so why do they have to park over there?
I don't know if the other one's parking there. I mean, that's been singled out, and I'm saying I don't know if, if that's the only people that are parking there at night.
Well, they are parking there, and they're probably not the only ones that are parking there, but there's several of them that are parking there, and this is not the first time this has come up. They came and talked to us about it last
I
week.
remember that.
Yep.
And it was,
Yeah.
no, I recall that it came up, and a lot of it was the daytime parking, which I don't have a problem with, personally. The night stuff, no.
You don't have a problem with it being there, or you don't have a problem with us putting a time limit on it?
The time limit is tough during the day, because if people are using
Why would
it...
that be tough? All throughout the village, we have a time limit. Why would that be tough to put a time limit on
Not all
it?
spots, though.
Huh?
What do we have along Hill Street in front of the movie theater? Is that all 2 hour?
I think it's all 2 hours.
I mean, I'm not sure. I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm
In
asking. I'm
front
not
of the movie
saying. I'm
theater. I
asking.
don't know. In front of the movie theater, I'm not.
Because I don't know why that's not limited. Is it consistent with other parts of that street? What's Culver? I don't know. I'm asking.
I think Culver does have some time limit on it. I mean, or it's like
I mean, if the
after a certain
consistency
hour.
sake time limits, I don't have a problem with. But,
Yeah.
The one thing I would argue
wanna
with
be-
Nancy is that I've driven by there numerous times during the day, in the evenings. There's never an excess amount of cars parked there.
again, I was going to say, I don't think it's not an
There's 5 or
epidemic.
6, it's not like there's a bunch of people jammed
Well,
up
I
there.
actually don't know during the summer because I haven't really taken notice of it.
In the summer,
Sir?
it gets more, during
Yeah.
the day, it gets more, obviously.
During the winter, certainly it's probably not used very much at all. So that
That's amazing. It's not used
there's
in-
no harm in that, but during the summertime, if people are parking there and walking down and getting on that little freebie thing, and they're there all day, which they are, it's of concern to them.
Yeah, but that may be of concern, but that parking area is also used by people who go to the movie theater, and they may park there because they know they're going to be a long term, they go out to dinner, and then they go to the movie theater, or vice versa. So,
Yeah, but the movie theater has a parking lot. There's parking in front of the movie theater.
No, I realize that,
So it's not like there aren't spots.
but that is a
I
convenience
just feel
spot.
like this is a little bit of a residential neighborhood. It's a residential neighborhood, and you have people who are taking advantage. That's my thinking.
Are there any laws that preclude cars from idling or playing loud music? And that's probably a question for our police
You have no
chief.
law about idling.
Isn't there?
Loud music, you have noise.
We have an idling law. You're not allowed to idle in your car for more than so many minutes.
Isn't that a state law, an idling law? We should probably check that
I
out.
don't know if that's just
With your
park area
car on.
or just our parks. Just,
Because I've seen tow services park in the UPS parking lot and behind Herrick's and Hildreth's, and I've seen them over by Irving Condo. So people tend to go, as Rich mentioned, everywhere, but I don't know.
I mean, I understand. I remember the residents came in, and it's not just a residential street because it is part of the business. It borders a business district. So that's why I think we've addressed a lot of concern on pure residential streets. I don't think this is a pure residential street. I also think the condo has a significant buffer with a fence and hedging, you know, and
And a gate.
And a gate, and so I mean. I do have an issue with wondering why a car that's parked on, there's a driveway, there's no one between the most easterly facing condos or apartments, whatever they are. And then you have, again, there's a buffers, a large hedge and gating and fencing, and then there's grass and curbing, and then the street. So
It isn't that much of a distance, I have to tell you.
So what they're saying is they're hearing noise and in the middle of the night, and people are parking and getting in and out of cars and playing music, which is, you know, it is annoying, upsetting, absolutely.
But that can be addressed in a certain way. And whether parking, that's one of the ways, but that can, you know, because again, we can do all the rules and laws you want. It's always about enforcing it too. And that's another area I think Bill.
So I think what we should all do is we should all go over there and take a look and get a better idea, you know, just scope it all out. And then at the next meeting, we'll bring it back up again.
Yep.
And I will tell you.
Yeah, no,
Is it just the residents, because there's only
I
4?
think it's the front facing.
So there's only 4 condos facing in the front, right?
Yeah.
Or
Towards the east,
4,
towards the
6
east, correct,
to the
yeah.
east?
You know, and I said to him, I would have thought
sure
that you would have
exactly.
needed extra parking for guests if someone was, he said, actually they have quite a bit of parking. I didn't think they did. I don't really remember. I remember when they were built and being over there, but I think, I mean, I'm sure they probably do use that for their guests as well.
I can't imagine at some point
It
it's
sounds like
not.
it's an annoying noise in the middle of the night.
Oh, I would think it would be
Yeah.
terrible.
As
Alarming.
bad as leaf blowers? We'll find out.
That's
Didn't mean to change the subject.
that's the epitome to compare anything to.
Washington DC, I learned this morning, we learned is outlawing leaf blowers.
Totally?
Yes, but they're giving it a phase-in period, but that's 65 square miles, so that's a big step.
That's next meeting, that's next
How are they
meeting.
going to clean?
That's next
How are they going to clean anything?
Right.
We're talking about parking now.
Right, right.
All right?
So that's my 2 cents.
Any other comments on street parking? Which is becoming a bigger issue, and I think
Yes.
Absolutely.
you and I sort of recognize that.
Yeah, I think the issue, you know, the board has considered recently many proposals, different streets, and part of the issue, as Trustee Yastrzemski indicated, is, you know, you deal with it regulated or restrict or otherwise, and you push it to another street. So in one way, the mayor has been discussing or reviewing whether or not we should look at this on some overall view, so that you can sort of comprehensively figure out what to do with it. And I know part of that was what to do, which, Nancy, your issue is in residential streets with, you know, the various service vehicles and the like, that issue as well. So maybe that's a way you can address it.
I mean, I've always felt that, as I said once before, we need to manage the mess, because basically what we have now, it's helter-skelter. There's people parking on the east side of the street, people parking on the west side of the street. It's dangerous if you're going down. There's no restrictions on where you can park or where you can't park on many of our residential streets. And I just think that we need to figure it out, like north-south running roads, you can park on the east or the west side. We have to figure out which is the best side for people to park, but not on the other side. And then on east-west running roads, they either park north or south. So people get used to that because you have work people and you have guests who just don't think, and they don't realize that if they're parking, if one car is parking on one side of the road and the other one's parking, how do you get a vehicle? How do you get an emergency vehicle through? They don't think. So we have to manage that in some way. Purely from a safety point of view, I don't want it to be the kind of thing where we're making this rule and now everybody thinks they can go out there and park there. That's not what I want. So we have to be careful in how we do it. I just want it to be done in such a way so that our volunteer or our services can get through, our fire department, our ambulance can get through. And right now, I'm not so sure they can on certain streets, the way people park.
It's tough.
It's one of the issues that mayors look at.
Good. And no further comments. We go to comments from board members. Trustee Yustamsky.
First off, I have an answer about the compressor issue. It wasn't work on the new compressor for the new, they had work done at the antique barn, so they had some piping.
Okay.
And the airline's done at the antique barn. They have a compressor there for their tools and stuff over there.
Yep.
That was really good. Yeah. You must have 5G already.
On the job, baby. And other than that, as ex-mayor, I believe said before, Steve, in attendance in the office, in attendance of the meeting here, again, been around, Nancy's been around since the beginning, part of bringing you along, and you have been, I think Mark really encapsulated a lot of parts about that. There has been so much done. A lot of people are extremely aware of what you've done by just visiting the building, but there's a lot of stuff that the average person does not realize what you've done behind the scenes, and what we all do behind the scenes, but certainly you've been the face and the eyes and ears of this board and previous boards and previous administration and current administration. So I personally thank you for what you've done, how you've personally helped me along the years, and I've been able to get answers and confide in you on certain things, and more importantly, how you've been able to be the buffer for a lot of people, the public and the employees for this board. So I thank you very much for your service to this board and to this village. I appreciate it. To segue into our newest addition, Russell, you have a long-standing and illustrious career in municipal service, so you come to this village extremely experienced and well-equipped. So I congratulate you on working with us here. Tonight indicated you can certainly handle things even without worrying about missteps, so you did well. We'll just see how you do with pronouncing Polish names and other large names. If you do any better than Steve, that was one of his Achilles heels, if you will.
That's a really low bar for you, Russ.
But thank you for your service and welcome aboard. And
I suspect Russ will have that.
But welcome aboard, and we look forward to working with you. And
He's from Riverhead, and he knows Polish names, believe me.
He's from Riverhead. So were you. That explains a lot. Yeah. All right. We got a lot to worry about here. Now, congratulations and welcome aboard, Russ. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rich. Trustee Allen.
So we've only worked together for 18 months, but all I can say is straight shooter, you know your stuff, never any drama, always calm. Doesn't get better than that. And by the way, you don't have a great reputation in Southampton Village. You have a fabulous reputation on the East End. I call and benchmark other villages, and they all know you're leaving, and they say, he was our go-to guy. And yes, you have a fan club, so it's been a good 18 months. Thank you very much. And Russell, welcome, and that was a pretty darn good start. Lots of numbers.
Yeah, it was we didn't have a second meeting in December, so it was a pretty
large, right?
It was a large agenda.
But I do have a couple other things to add, which is, first of all, Happy New Year, everybody. It was great to see everybody. And I wanted to just thank everyone who came to our Youth Career Day panel last month, which was terrific. We had such a good array of people, and a number of us showed up. It was great. We had a chef and a pilot and a doctor and an attorney, and many of whom attended Southampton High School, and just created these great businesses and careers. We had a horticulturist who travels all over the world, and it was fun. And Russell represented the municipal side of it, so that was terrific. Thank you for participating on it. And also, Julie, thanks for throwing it up on our Southampton website. So if anybody wants to tell their kids a little bit about the options that they have, even out here on the East End, which are a lot, they can go right there. And that's about it.
At that, there was some great services that do provide help to kids that aren't necessarily going on to college, or they're looking in the trades and stuff, and that was great to see.
The trade side is so unbelievable. You can become an airplane mechanic, a master plumber, carpenter, animal science. I mean, it was just unbelievable. That's all that's out there.
Yep.
We have a lot of brochures up front, too.
Yep. And I've used them often in my business, and every year I sponsor an individual from the high school to go through the technical training school, and they do a great job, man. They really do.
And thanks to the kids who showed up that day, because we know it was tough.
Yep. It was. Thank you, Trustee Allen. Trustee McGann?
Well, I just want to also thank you, Steve. It's been a long time that we've worked together. We're going to miss you. But I'm very happy for you and Lisa. You're going to have a new life, which I think is terrific, in a very nice, warm climate, which is very appealing right now. And I thank you for everything that you've done. And welcome, Russell. That's it.
Thank you, Trustee McGann. Trustee Hattrick.
Oh, just two little things. I would like to second the motion that, Steve, you truly are the grandest tiger in the whole jungle, and we know it, and why would you be missed? And I was wishing, with all this communication stuff we were talking about earlier, is there some way we can reach you?
He's changing his cell number.
Particularly if we're going to have to raise taxes or something like that. Anyhow, the other thing I was going to say, maybe in honor of the grievance, and you can tell your son-in-law, Chris, when he's on TV, if he wants to repeat this joke, that this is one I wrote myself, which explains why it's not very funny. But anyhow, I asked somebody, my son-in-law, or my son rather, today, do you know the difference between President Trump and all the roosters in the world? And he said, no. And I said, well, the roosters in the world know enough to stop crowing shortly after sunrise, and they also never lay an egg. That's it.
Get nervous there for a second.
Please hold your applause till later, please. And that's it.
But the deadline is
14th. Trustee Hattrick, thank you. I got to say, every time you start your jokes, I hold my breath. I'm never quite sure where they're going to end.
You haven't heard the ones that would make you hold your breath.
Especially when you start mentioning
I know that
roosters.
much.
You don't know where you're going to go with that one. What word you'll use.
I just want to thank Russell, for joining the village of Southampton, and, truly you're going to do a great job, I am sure, to read through those numbers and stumble, but yet still capture yourself is very impressive. You did a great job.
I'm used to stumbling a little bit, but you just got to hold your serve and keep going.
Right, but some can't, so that's a great attribute that you have.
And Mr. Mayor, if you don't mind, because obviously I know you're going to say something. I think it's important, since you've all welcomed me, and I appreciate that very much, that I just want to say, first of all, that in my 25-plus years working in municipal government, to have someone as professional and to have the demeanor that Steve has is amazing. He truly is. He's handling, 200, 300 things at a time, and you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know whether he's reading a book or has 52 things on his mind, and that rubs off on everyone else that's around him. And I think, as we, he sets a great tone. And I also just want to thank the board for not only the opportunity, but the opportunity to have this period of time in which the two of us work together. I think it's a great thing to be able to do, and I want to thank you for that. So,
No, I appreciate those comments, and Steve, you're going to get, I'm sure, a lot of congratulations. You're going to be so bored with hearing how great you are. You're just going to, go down to Sarasota and hang out and go, oh man, what did I do? But I haven't worked with you that long, I guess a year and a half or so. But, before as a trustee, you were always around. The one thing that I would always say about you, that it's a personality that really shines in today's world, is no matter how difficult we had a situation or who we had to deal with, and you always acted as a true gentleman, and that to me is a very, very impressive thing. Thank you. And I think we all deserve your
I'd just like to say it's very weird being on this side of the dais. Your chairs look terrific.
What is it you want?
State your name behind the heads. State your name and address.
Just state your name and address.
Steve Fudge. Not to be published. But really, seriously, thank you, Phil, for all the comments and the accolades. Russ, thank you. I'm happy to have you on board. I'm really upset you found where I hid the books that I do read during the course of the day. So, I've only worked with Russ for a month and a half now, five weeks, whatever. I've known him for a number of years. I think he made a great pick. He's really, he has a way of assessing people real quick, and it's very impressive with that, I'll miss you guys.
We're going to miss you.
I appreciate, I know you people say I've done a lot, but it's because you put the trust in me to let me run the village the way you thought I could, and I did, and I thank you. And Wayne, also, been a pleasure. Short tenure, but a great pleasure.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you all.
Any other comments? No comments? From nobody? If there's no comments, I make a motion to adjourn to executive session for the purpose of discussing legal matters and personnel matters involving village employees.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.